morning, carnivores. Today I've got a little comparison experiment going on. We've got two beautiful ribeye steaks. So one is a AAA and the other one is a AA. We're going to see how much difference in flavor and tenderness we get between the two. I'd like to give a shout out to my favorite butcher shop in the world, Carnivore's Meat Shop. He's also got a website where he can deliver meat to you. So even if you're not living right in a local area, you can still check him out. And that's www.carnivoreonline.ca. Let's get started. So here I'm just running the water as hot as it'll go, and I'm filling my old cooler that I've taken the lid off, and we're going to be using this for the sous vide bath. And I'm just pulling out the steaks. We're only going to be using two of these, and the rest are being saved for later. Now this is my Kitchen Boss sous vide machine. If you're interested in picking one of these up, I've got a link down in the description. And if you look at any of my videos, there's actually a link for that sous vide machine in the description. So here I'm just taking a good quality Ziploc bag. This is actually Ziploc brand. This is a freezer bag. Now you don't have to use vacuum sealing bags. Just a good quality freezer bag will do the trick. And you notice I've rolled back the edges. That's to keep the zipper from getting contaminated as we put the steaks in. And we're just going to put both steaks in one bag. And then I'm going to use the water displacement method to get all the air out. It's a lot easier than the way I used to do it, which was with lung power. So all we do is we get everything straight and we just push it down into the water, and the water will push out the air. And we just have to get most of the bag down into the water and then zip it closed. And that's all there is to it. Once it's sealed, it can just get pushed down in the water. Now if it still wants to float a little bit because of the type of meat, you might have to put something on top of it to hold it down, or you can get sous vide magnets, which can also hold it down if you've got a metal container. Of course this is plastic, so that wouldn't work. You can also get weights. Now I'm setting this to 129 degrees for 2 hours. Now here it's coming out of the sous vide, and I just took the original lid from the cooler to put on top to keep it from evaporating so quickly. And we're just taking the machine out and putting it away. And I just set it down on a couple paper towels there just to get some of the water off of the bag. Once we take them out, it's very important that we dry them off. So we're going to pat them dry. This is one of the most important aspects of doing sous vide. You can see it had nice and floppy and tender there. Now I'm pretty meticulous about making sure it's patted dry. If you don't get them completely dry, they'll wind up steaming in the pan instead of searing, and then you wind up overcooking them. So I just want to mention here on that thinner AA steak, doing the 2 minutes sear per side, even with the pan really hot, actually wound up cooking it to medium instead of medium rare. So if you've got a thinner steak like that, you can only get away with searing it for 1 minute per side. So you see I've got lots of oil or grease in the pan there. I'm using tallow. And it's important to have lots in the pan because it provides the interface of heat to all parts of the steak. So we're going to sear it for 2 minutes aside. And when I do the edges, I'm only doing them for about a minute, or 30 seconds to a minute, depending on how thick the fat cap is. So of course I'm cutting a lot of this out. You're not seeing this real time. Look at that. Beautiful sear on that. I love that golden brown Maillard reaction. Now, in case you're wondering, I spaced these about a minute apart, so I've got a little time to do each. So I'm not trying to rush back and forth between them. This is actually fairly easy once you've done it a couple of times. Unfortunately, I don't have a pan big enough to do two of these. These are nice thick bottom stainless steel pans with a non-stick coating, but they're kind of small. They're just not big enough to do a couple of big steaks like this. I actually recommend if you have one to use a great big cast iron pan. They work even better than these thick stainless steel ones. Look at that browning. Oh, isn't that a beautiful sear? And I just love the sound of a good steak frying in the pan. That is such a beautiful thing. Now once they're done, and you can see this is another nice beautiful sear. So once they're done searing, then we're going to let them rest for a few minutes. We're going to do this for about 5 minutes. So now I'm just cutting a couple nice pieces off the end caps. That one I'm cutting there now is the AAA. Look at that, perfect medium rare. You always got to make sure to let your meat rest after searing like that. Otherwise it just gets really dry. The juice just pours out of it when you cut into it. So let's see how we did. Another nice, well, it's a little bit more than medium rare on that one once you get into the steak. Well, let's see how we did. So the first bite I'm going to take is actually from the AA version of this ribeye. Very tasty. That 36-hour dry brine really penetrated well. It's salty all the way through. Very nice flavor, very juicy. Could be a little more tender. So let's try the AAA. Well, as tasty as that AA steak was, the AAA is a little better. It's got a little beefier flavor. It's definitely more tender. Not a lot, but it is definitely more tender. My conclusion? I personally think it's worth the extra money to go with the AAA. It's just that much better. If I was going to buy AA in future, I would probably sous vide it for 4 hours instead of the 2 hours that we sous vide this. So I think, you know, the extra expense of the AAA, and it is quite a bit more expensive, but it certainly is tastier and more tender. I think it's totally worth it. Once again, shout out to Carnivore's Meat Shop. You can find them at www.carnivoreonline.ca. Always has the best. If you like our videos, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future videos we come out with. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate you being here. We'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.